All right, episode 218. Diversify or maybe croak. We're not allowed to say die. It's not good for the algorithms.
But then he did it.
As you just did it.
Yep. But exploring the niche markets in real estate. We're going to get started right now.
Diversify our life.
All right, episode 218. We've got a great show today. We are going to explore really diving down into the niche markets. You've probably heard on some of our other shows, we've had plenty of real estate experts on that have really gone down the path of just one type of marketplace, right? One type of niche. Do you like the word niche or niche?
I thought it was Nietzsche.
Nietzsche. Isn't that like a scientist or a philosopher?
Yeah. I mean, so we're just going to mess around with it today on really going deep on how to build your business and becoming a specialist, not a generalist, because you can always command more money. We've had Beth Silverman on the show, who's really gone down that on the investor side with pad splits and the co-living space. We've had Nicole Espinoza on, the short sale queen. Chauncey Pham was really gone down on the rehabs and flips and has really built her brand off of that investor market as well and turned it into getting on a television show. Mm-hmm. So, and then we've done it in the only real estate podcast worth listening to. So if you didn't know where you were at, that's where you are, and welcome. You should go leave us some reviews. You should leave us 5 stars on Spotify, because I looked it up and those reviews on there are not great.
Ours aren't.
Do we not have many, or they're just like a ones?
Yeah. Not many, and it's like 3.7 stars.
What? I gotta read some of these reviews.
They don't leave. They don't let you leave reviews. It's only star rating.
You know what?
Wow,
it's Tammy.
you cowards.
It's Tammy.
Yes.
We cussed one time, and then Tammy went and 1 star.
Yeah. I do want go back and listen to episode 217, the conspiracy episode of does the government want you or don't want you to own a house?
Watch out for
Tell
that
you
red
on
pill.
that topic, man. We just finished episode 7.
Which?
The Vietnam War.
Wait, the Vietnam War still going on?
No, we finished this episode. These are like 2 hours.
I thought it
apiece,
never ended.
so I don't get to watch them all that often.
Well, you watch it at night from 10 to midnight.
It's so just horrific in depth, and
That's what I've heard.
it's all I can think about right now.
Send it to me. Tell me.
It's
Tell me
on-
the outcome.
It's on PB.
Yeah,
But
but
it doesn't end well.
yeah, it doesn't. You know what does end well is our sponsors. Mortgage Mike, mmgloans.com. And Jesse wasn't ready for that because I really went fast into that one. Great
sneak
segue.
attack.
But if you're looking for that Mortgage Mike
Just
stamp
like
of
in the
approval.
Vietnam War.
Oh, wow.
Jesus.
Great. It's all going to be great. It's all fine. But mmgloans.com, you're looking for that Mortgage Mike stamp of approval. He is his March numbers are looking solid. He's got buyers left and right. He's saving deals that other lenders are botching it up. And so just go to mmgloans.com.
You know the best thing? I had been sending these elaborate emails to just lenders in general, right? Laying everything out. You and I talked the other day, and you were like, "Hey, yeah, I connected." Maybe it was on team meeting, and you were like, "I connected somebody with Mortgage Mike via text or whatever." And I was like, "You know what? I don't know why my old 45-year-old brain has just been emails are best for business connection." The last 2 buyers I've connected with Mortgage Mike with 2 people in the past 24 hours. And the best thing about it is sent a group text, introduced everybody, laid out the situation, and then he started having a conversation. Yesterday, my buyer didn't message him back right away. I got a text message today back to the group message that just said, "Hey, so-and-so, it was great talking to you. Just go fill out this application. Everything's good." And all of a sudden I was back in the loop.
Yep.
And it felt amazing.
Yep. So all you need to do, Mortgage Mike will keep you in the loop and make sure that it gets to the finish line. mmgloans.com. And then you need to get that home warranty from Theron Smith over at Armadillo.
Wow.
Armadillo.
Orm.
Yeah, Armadillo home warranty. Just go to armadillo.one/tour and get that hard shell protection on your house. And then the rental properties, they're up there. People are buying investments. They still are.
I have 2 rental properties that are warranted by Armadillo.
Yeah. But now we're talking about Dana Wynn.
But now we're talking about Dana Wynn.
A
So
red-
once you get that hard shell protection,
Yeah, Dana Wynn will win your business
at all costs.
at all costs, right? So
Just-
homeward at dfw.com for that residential property management winning service, exceptional service, and awesome, great customer service.
Amazing customer.
Amazing, whatever this t-shirt says. And then Tour Studios. Jesse's over there rocking it out and making everyone look great. I heard Kyle Draper was in the studio yesterday.
Big friend of the show. I think Chauncey just surpassed him in episodes, or like I think she's at 4 now and he's at 3. So Draper, that's your call out. You need to come back on.
Yeah.
Right?
I think we need to do a limited run of those shirts, like almost like a novelty thing.
We need to make a video around it. So here's how it's content creation. I follow these Australian guys. They're called How Ridiculous. It's amazing.
Okay.
One of these guys like inherited like this 200-foot tower and they started throwing shit on it. Right. But what they do really well is now,
you mean?
yeah, off of it.
Okay,
Right.
yeah, gotcha.
And so like now they'll just lay a bunch of t-shirts out on the ground and then they'll put like paint cans and they'll throw a bowling ball off the tower onto the paint cans. They explode all over the t-shirts, sell the t-shirts.
That's pretty cool.
Do the same thing with rubber ducks. It's genius.
We are working.
Do you
way
just
too
follow
hard.
them? They just blow up on Instagram or?
Dude, I think it probably came into my life because of Luke, right? When you have a little kid, they just start watching really weird stuff and you're like, oh, what's going on? And now I am obsessed with it. They do Magnus effect things off of like dams, and they throw all kinds of stuff off of
Really?
high things. And I think it just
But they've developed that niche market.
yeah. And they
Right?
just say crazy things in Australian, which is English.
Yeah,
but it sounds
I will
funnier.
tell you, I've watched. There's this comedy group that shows up on the Instagram reels, and it's
Yeah,
out in
Matt.
Australia, and it's these groups of these young kids just trying to make each other laugh, and if they laugh, they have to take shots.
Is it yeah, mad?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and they take
You
shots,
guys
and you
watch
can
the same
you
stuff.
can see them getting plastered.
really.
It would be something that honestly, our 40-year-old selves, Brian's almost there, should do on this show.
Brian and I did this. They were called taco videos.
Yeah. And they had some pretty good run.
They
too.
were
That's the
amazing.
worst
Yeah.
idea. We're working way too hard for a
But,
living, boys. We
I
gotta
fully
cease
agree.
Which is the theme of today's show. That's the topic, and like you went down the path of let's actually break this down because we've got our plan here. Look, we're actually prepared, and really breaking this down is why go down a niche market. And you guys created years ago the taco videos, and it was designed to go and sample all the great taco joints in Dallas, Fort Worth. And you recorded it, you talked about it, and it highlighted that restaurant. But at the same time, it also got you content that you could put out on social media, get the YouTube run, and become that kind of guide for people that lived in the Dallas, Fort Worth area. And then hopefully in return, they would use you for your real estate needs.
It strangely took off
Yes.
too, and I don't know how it ended up being such a catalyst for what we did.
Well, I think what it did, I think there was a few things happening. I think there was no ego attached to it at all. Like the Brian and I,
self-deprecating.
yeah, the Brian and I that were doing those videos had nothing to lose, right? One of the things that happened with, and I think this happens with everybody, is you reach a certain threshold where you stop doing what worked, right? And maybe the taco videos weren't what worked, but I think what did work that was really, really great was that we had this ability to kind of like converse with each other in a way that people found engaging, to the point where Brian and I, like, people were just putting taco emojis on other crap we posted. Like, and that's how I knew it was working. What was really cool about taco videos was it was authentic. And I think that is where people get lost. And I understand how easy it is to get lost, but like, we stopped being authentic in our conversations with people. You've told me this the last couple of weeks, and I've heard this from you before, right? Like, I get very nervous about calling expireds, right? Even though I shouldn't be, because I could probably have the most realistic, authentic conversation with them that most people are going to have. Now, is that going to net me the most closings? No, I think some guy who is hardcore closer is probably going to close more than me. But am I going to have great clients? Am I going to have a great referral source? Am I have people who just trust, know, and like me? Of course I am. The being authentic part of this is where I've probably been the most effective and then also been the worst in my career. And if I could diversify anything in my career, it would just be like, I would diversify authentic Matt over my career, because that is the ebb and flow of me has been when I'm most out of alignment with myself is when I've been most out of alignment with my business easily. Right. That's why the taco videos worked. They were badass. And then, like anything, you get too big and then you start walking back everything that you did because there's not time. There's too many people watching, whatever. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and look at it like so we break it down in like really seven kind of steps here. And really you want to break it down like why go down the niche. And you look very confused there, Brian.
I actually just got very confused because I just reread the title again. Somebody else not confused by this? I think ChatGPT was having a brain fart today. Diversification is the opposite of niche. So the title is Diversify or Die, and then it's like exploring niche markets.
Well, it depends
I
on.
think it's encouraging you to
Yes.
explore the niche.
Yes,
markets.
that's what it's doing
No, but
because
that would be the opposite of diversification. It'd
Well,
be
but wouldn't it-
focusing
Stop
on-
diversifying.
what did
Don't
it-
call expireds and FSBOs.
Wouldn't,
Pick
wouldn't it
something.
actually be the point of diversifying to actually explore
I s-
niche markets?
Uh,
It's not saying
okay.
like hone in on one niche market.
It's saying open your mind to
explore-
the possibility
And-
of
and
these
how do
niche
you know that you
markets.
so
can't-
make sure that you focus on a lot of niche markets.
Yes.
well, it actually. Well, that's a whole nother thing that we could dive down of how to become that go-to expert in each niche or niche market, right? Yeah, get that logic
Just
out of
not
here, Brian. But
sure
all
what's
right, let's
going
look at
on.
this.
I kind of do see both
Yeah,
sides of it,
no, I
though, right?
totally
because
see it.
because I think what Brian is saying is like hone in. We tell agents hone in on a few lead sources or whatever.
Yes.
The general thrust of the show is maybe you're honed in on the wrong shit,
Yeah.
and you need to ultimately like kind of diversify your thought process around what is
Diversify your thought,
possible.
okay. Like even here, step 2, it literally says tiny homes, luxury properties, historical homes. Like these are niches, but you wouldn't diversify into all of these.
Maybe
But
then-
wait, hold on. Why not? Because
3
look,
million and 100.
I'm going to show you, and we're going to talk about this, and something that we're going to launch here very, very soon is that how to use AI
Yeah.
and how AI can help you become that go-to person in that niche, and replicate it. Because ultimately, look, we're looking at this. Why would you go down and want to be a specialist in any one of these? And the philosophy is the big fish, small pond.
Right.
You can dominate a smaller market much easier rather than being a small fish in a saturated market. So like right now, when you get your real estate license, you're just a real estate agent. I can help you buy or sell a house or invest in real estate.
Right.
I'm going to help you sell for the most amount of money. I'm going to help you buy get the home at hopefully the lowest amount of price.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what every real estate agent, they're honest. What do they say? I'm trustworthy. I'm a hard worker. And what else did they say from a generalist side? Like,
get you top dollar for your
I'm going to
home.
get you into your dream home.
I'm part of the National Association of Realtors.
Yeah.
I think it's possible to diversify inside a niche, though. I legitimately was having a mentee conversation with a brand new agent today who is a lender already, right? And they have a large understanding of the processes and follow-up that's necessary to close a real estate deal and retain clients. So we're not talking about some of that base level stuff. What they didn't think about, because this person is licensed in Texas, Arkansas, and Oklahoma, was the possibility. They were like, well, I'll just run, I'm going to do some buyer seminars. And I said, wouldn't it be cool if you did buyer seminars, not just in Texas, but also in Oklahoma and Arkansas, places where you couldn't represent them as real estate agents, but you start developing referral opportunities with agents in those places by sending them buyers. Maybe they're not even with your brokerage, and then you recruit them into a brokerage that like EXP or Keller Williams, where there's a profit share, revenue share aspect to it. And now you have like, and again, this may be me like just broadly using the word diversity outside of its actual definition, but you've now taken a niche, which is like what she was doing as far as procuring new buyers, and then diversified that into other income opportunities by sending those buyer opportunities to agents at other brokerages, getting referrals from them, and potentially being a referral or recruiting source to EXP to her downline, right?
Yeah.
Like, again, I'm probably using fast and loose with the definition of diversity, but I think you can take this really tall building and explore all the floors in it, as opposed to just having like this 3-story building that you're trying to like cover all the square footage in, right?
Yeah. So I don't disagree with that at all. And I think to that point, so like step number 2, we already like figured out like types of niches, right? So whether it's geographic, I focus in these specific areas and I know everything about it. This type of buyer or seller, right?
Or lake, like you could be a lakefront property, you could be beachfront property, you could be
like this says tiny homes, historic homes, right? First time home buyer. There's like a million different niches.
Yeah.
Niches, whatever. How do you suggest actually giving the requisite amount of thought to whether or not you're actually choosing a compelling niche, because I think in real estate it's a little
So
difficult.
you're saying how to choose your niche.
Yeah, like I'll give you an example. One of my good friends from the gym, he is an insurance, but he focuses on like high liability commercial trucking insurance.
Okay.
And that was like a really
super niche.
it was super niche. And what he realized, he started out as regular general lines, and those were the people that he always had trouble qualifying because like no carriers would touch those. So
Yeah.
he's like, if I could be the guy who only focuses on this stuff and develop the relationship with the carriers, I'll be the go-to guy for everybody. It was like a no-brainer, and that was years ago, and now he crushes in that business. But it's a little trickier in real estate.
Sure. I think number one, and we have it here, right? Passion meets profitability. But let's go back to two, right? The types of niche markets and really break it down. We can say, like, in general, like, it's easy. All right, luxury properties, historical homes, beachfront, waterfront, whatever that may be. But what if we also look at maybe a group of workforce type, right? So like nurses only, doctors only, teachers only, first responders only,
Farmers only.
right? You could do farmers only, right? Farmers, what is that? Farmers Connect, right? But think about it like think of Match.com. Match.com is a general, right? A general dating site. And then what happened from there is you got into the niche dating sites, farmers. You got religion ones. You got ones for married dudes seeking out other relationships.
Yeah.
Right? What is that? Ashley Madison?
That blew up.
Yeah, that did. Didn't they have a leak or something?
Yeah. You had all of the leak.
Yeah.
The craziest thing about the Ashley Madison leak was it still existed afterwards. Like there were people who had this information and went back and were like, no, this is a good call.
I think they're doing fine.
I think they still exist.
So you choose it based on number one. Maybe your first part is passion can meet profitability. Like you most likely, are going to go and play all in on something that maybe you have a desire to learn, or maybe you want to own a lake house, or you want to own a beach house, or you want to get into investing, and then you go down that path. And so pick something that you're really excited about and has a viable marketplace.
Yeah.
And then research it and understand your competition, identify gaps in the marketplace where you can shine. And this is something that really what I was thinking about. I sent you this text the other day, Brian, what Jeff Bezos says, right? And he talked about other companies. What did it say? Other companies' margin is his opportunity.
Yep.
Right? Is his opportunity.
Your margin is my profit, was his saying.
Yeah, your margins are, so at any given point, some other company's margin is your opportunity gain. Right. And they were really talking about NVIDIA, where NVIDIA has the AI chip sourcing, and they're now worth several $1 trillion, and their stock has been blowing up and just continue to go up. But eventually what will happen is there'll be other players in the space that will come in and start to erode their margins away, because now they say, all right, that's where the opportunity gain lies. And so where can you say, all right, what needs the most help? Could it be first-time home buyers? First-time home buyers is a niche market.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a kind of more generalized, but you could go down that path and only have messaging that goes towards the first-time home buyers.
That's why I think about this when you talk about the three things that it talks about. It lists passion as being number one. I actually like out of these three reasons on why or types of niche, or excuse me, like how to choose it. Like I would toss that to the bottom of the list. As great as it would be to be passionate about first-time home buyers, let's also be awesome. Like you're probably not. Right? It's way better to identify the opportunity in the market. And maybe that opportunity identification comes through you actually being out there and experiencing a little bit. Like your guy he was out there in insurance and realized, hey, here's a deal where like, these are a lot of dudes who can't get insurance for this specific thing. Let me focus on that. There might be some trial and error to this. The passion actually, I think, is the least important part of this, and probably the biggest problem when choosing your niche. I think it comes way back to some basic things we talk about in real estate. If you're going to choose a farm area, choose one where the agent has X amount or lack of X amount of whatever. The data research on the niche matters a ton, because you could be really passionate. I'm mentoring a guy right now who's really passionate about this really specific opportunity zone in one city that it's like a 1 mile radius. And it is an awesome jumping off point. It's also a shit place to build a business out of, because there's just not enough houses in it for it to matter, right? So you can be really passionate about an idea, like getting everybody into a house super affordably. Okay, that's an awesome thing to be passionate about. You're going to have to figure out how to do that, though.
Yep.
It's not going to be simple. So the data part of this, the research part of it, is so much more important than identifying it than just being excited about the idea, because that excitement is going to wane.
I agree. Your excitement has to match your ability to execute, right? So, for example, luxury properties. That's a fantastic niche. It feels very sexy. Also, you just cut like 85% of the inventory out of your specialty, right?
And
So
added 95% of the agents to it, because every agent comes to me talking to me about wanting to sell
Right.
luxury.
And
So you have more competition and less
Yeah.
opportunity.
There's nothing wrong with that. You
Yeah.
just need to have a game plan for it. First-time homebuyers are another great example, right? First-time homebuyers are a niche that a lot of people choose. I think, well, because I think that that's something that seems accessible and something that they really want to get into. I don't even think that there's anything wrong with that particular one at all. I actually think that that's a really great niche, so long as you get really, really, really hyper-focused around how to execute around that. What most people who focus on quote-unquote first-time homebuyers don't do is they don't take the time to study up on all of the different types of incentives, from city grants and things like that to like school districts for first time. Like, there's so many different opportunities out there from different sources for first time home buyers, outside of just like kind of federal grants and things like that, that if you really wanted to go down that niche, you'd have a lot of content and a lot of messaging for that market. But most people that focus quote unquote on first time home buyers, like, they don't go to those lengths. So you got to have a plan.
Well, that becomes step 4, becoming the go-to expert, right? And then we go into 5, which is marketing. So like, we kind of combine, you can combine these. Like, number 4 of this process is, how do you become that go-to expert? Education, right? You don't know what you don't know. And so, is there any certifications that you can take? Is there courses related to it? Now that we have, again, AI, right? And we'll be releasing something here in the not so distant future that AI will help you, and you won't have to think about it.
Yep.
You just type it in. We've got it for expireds. We've got it for sell by owners. We've got it for helping you build the topics, for branding, for helping you go and create messaging around your new listings, or how to even helping you with listing descriptions.
Yeah.
Right. It's all in here. So as you're hearing this, reach out to us if this is something that sounds enticing to you, of how you can actually efficiently and effectively use AI. And we're going to keep teasing you with this. When we launch it, you'll understand why we're doing this. But education is the key. And what you want to do is build your portfolio.
Yeah.
And Victoria does this in her art.
Yeah.
Right. You go to art shows. She had to build a portfolio to sell her art. Otherwise, she doesn't have anything.
She's currently having to grind on paintings right now. She has 4 art shows coming up, and she has a legit business problem.
Yeah.
She has an inventory problem of things that people give a shit about, right? Like, and this is what I like a lot about how to choose your niche. Some of this is layered, right? Like, we've had Beth Silverman on and Nicole Espinoza, right? Pad split and the short sale queen, respectively. Those are not niches that you're probably going to get into on day one. There's a layeredness to this that becomes with, like, becoming the go-to expert isn't going to be like the biggest home run that you've ever hit right away. You're going to find something. You're going to learn something. You may find another niche. You may go deeper. You may get introduced to a person who knows some more about that. They take you on a journey over here. Like, I just think sometimes as real estate agents, we talk about this stuff and we don't talk about, like, there's a trend on TikTok right now, right? Where people are showing you how to do, like, essentially you could get to like some weird fitness thing where they show you, like, hey, if you can do 10 push-ups, then you could do this. And if you do 10 of these weird ass Atlas push-ups, then you could do the handstand push-ups. And it's like, they do this video that takes 30 seconds for you to watch of these 10 layers of push-ups. What they're not telling you is the exercise they had to do in between to strengthen those muscles took years to strengthen, right? To get that shoulder muscle allows you to press up that way didn't happen just because you could do 10 push-ups. It happened because all these other exercises. The thing that gets you the short sale queen, the things that gets you to being the pad split expert, the things that gets you to being the divorce expert in your area, or the elementary school expert in your area, or whatever, doesn't happen overnight. It comes through you choosing a lane or opportunity that shows up, and then you explore those niches in that over time, right? You've got to build that muscle. So also, don't be discouraged if some of your niches up front might seem a little generic, because they just might be.
Well, and then
until you learn the nuance.
And then you got to go a mile deep, not a mile wide on it. And you talked about this. You talked about what Beth has done, what Nicole has done. And what we've done even with this show is build a network, right? We're connecting with other professionals and really learning off of them. And we're even this show alone, if you really think about it, the only real estate podcast worth listening to. We have really only real estate experts, professionals, people within this industry on. And when we come in here and we interview them, and we've had them on in the past, or we build this out, we are now showcasing our expertise through past other people's success stories. And that now becomes into step 5, which is marketing to that niche, right?
Yep.
And you're going to tailor your marketing strategy and have targeted advertising to reach your specific audience and the right messaging, right? So content is king. It's blog posts, it's videos, it's social media. And right now, what we're hearing with TikTok, you can basically get an algorithm to pick up on it really, really fast.
The algorithms pick up fast. And here's like, again, breaking all this down in simplicity stakes, like the education that you learned in step 4 is actually your content for step 5, by the way, right? Because if you're talking to first-time home buyers, if you're talking to opportunity zone people, if you're talking to investors, what do they need to understand? They need to understand this opportunity is possible for them.
Yeah,
What do we do with real estate agents, right? We're trying to paint a picture of them, how they get to $100,000 a year. What are you doing with your sellers and buyers, trying to paint a picture of home ownership or moving on to the next level? The education that you learn in step 4 is your content for step 5 around your niche, because whatever you learned, I guarantee the general public doesn't know about it, right? So whatever you know, it's about sharing that. We're seeing it right now. Keller Williams family reunion is going on right now. My feed is full of people educating me on statistical numbers around real estate agents. What those agents are attempting to do is talk to other real estate agents about the viability and or scariness of their job right now.
Yeah.
They're throwing out data in order to like kind of prove a point. The education that you know about this Plano Opportunity Zone thing is so near and dear to my heart because this kid is talking about it to me nonstop. And I'm trying to explain to him, this is a great broad niche, but Plano's Opportunity Zone is a tiny little sliver of what you're going to do.
Right.
But part of what he needs to do is he needs to educate people that it exists, because who the hell knows? Why would you know this exists unless you were looking at stuff? And you know what I mean? Like the marketing your niche is all about educating people about the stuff you've already learned.
I think that's huge, especially nowadays, man. Re-education, just creating content around it. That should be
It's the easiest thing in the world.
number one of everybody's marketing plan.
Dude, go on your social media post and tell me somebody is saying something that truly is just mind-blowing to you most of the time. They're not, right? What they're doing is they're breaking it down in concepts that is easier for you to understand. I love it, right? One of the things I like most about hanging out with my friend group, you guys specifically, is you say things that coalesce in a minute into my brain, and I finally understand it for the first time in my life. And that is a huge opportunity that people have with their marketing and that they do not take advantage of, is just talking to people like you got talked to when you found out about it. That's going to help you build your niche more than anything else.
It's also like the best like case study, because if it's actually worth going into like a niche, then it'll get play.
Yeah.
You'll get views and likes and engagement.
Yeah.
And if no one gives a
You're
shit,
beta
then you
testing
won't.
your own shit.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Like,
Like,
pick up, like,
they won't watch it if it sucks.
And we know a lot of people that even sell to real estate professionals that just went down a particular niche path.
Yeah.
And they become that go-to expert.
Yep.
If there's something that I'm calling software, if it's again AI, whatever that may be, right? And that's the reason why we're bringing the AI portion, to Tor and to the Only Real Estate Podcast, because we partnered up with someone. And all this stuff is out there, right? Theoretically, everything is out there for free.
Yeah.
Why we pay for this is because, number one, we're inherently lazy.
I'm still using LimeWire. Everything's free.
Yeah.
We
forgot
are lazy.
Yeah.
Here's the other reason we pay for this, though. A lot of the information is general and broad.
Yes.
And when it comes to entrepreneurship, that doesn't work.
That's true.
What we really pay for is the ability to call Nick Good, Nick Krem, Brian Force, right? To ask them a direct question about their experience.
Yes.
Well, that's what we really pay for when it comes to coaching.
Yes. And so from that is like you package it together and then it works. And it should work. And if you plug into it. And then, right, when you're marketing, you're going to build it off testimonials, right? You're going to leverage satisfied clients to spread the word and the message about your expertise. You know who does this?
DB.
David Bennett
Crushes it.
does this at an extremely high level.
I almost want to unfollow him because I have so much like residual embarrassment for not being as good at it as he is.
And you know what he did? All he did was take something that I kept telling him that we should all be doing, which is we should be going at our closing table and recording a video, whether it's live or get it on record, recorded, and just post it. And now what he's doing, he's bringing in a videographer, getting them right there at the closing table and asking them questions.
His progression of this shit's really awesome because it used to be him holding his cell phone, right? The thing we're all nervous about. Now it's him standing there talking to somebody. And here's what I want to say. Like, I actually look at that stuff and I feel like his clients are trying to scramble out of there. And I know his process. I know he has warned them of this. I know they come prepared to say something. But like, he is so faithful with his ability to do this that I have now noticed the progression and how good it has gotten. And I'm in the industry and I know what he's doing. And it's that effective that he's doing it at such a high level that it's noticed even by people who know what you're doing. And I think that says something.
And you mentioned this, and I think you mentioned this or I read it somewhere, but I mean, you were coached by Ryan Serhant, right? You met with him, you got a video of him with him, you did an interview format with him, and he talked about you have to be your biggest cheerleader. You have to be your biggest promoter. And a lot of us don't want to do what David's doing. Or we hear this and we're like, all right, we need to make content. Content's king, videos, social media posts. Like, we don't want to always put it out there because now we feel like all we're doing is spamming. All we're doing is just bragging. And if you go look at Serhant stuff, everything is geared towards coming back to him and signing up or hiring him. And for whatever reason, that's also why he got onto the show $1 Million Listing.
It actually works because, and this is why you just got to start. It works because over time, like, your true self comes out and it's not as artificial. Like, what Ryan Serhant does really well is he is so unapologetically him all the time. And it's very engaging. And that's something that I think we struggle with content creation a lot. Especially people like doing it for the first time, is it feels off and a little weird and a little less genuine. Ryan Serhant is very self-serving in his content creation, but he's such a genuinely good human being. I think that it works really
Think
well
of the
for
show.
him.
Think of this show.
Yeah.
Go back and watch episode 1 to go all this weekend. Go watch 1 through 217, 218
by Monday.
Yeah. 218 will be up by then too. If you're watching the replay or if you're just watching on Facebook, go watch it. I mean, it is, you'll see the progression of all of us, starting maybe not Kelderman, because Kelderman's always overshared his stuff. And the most
super true.
Like Kelderman not had to evolve. Brian and I are the ones that had to evolve to actually say, like, let's show the real
I had to stop
selves.
blaming people.
Yes.
I was always good at sharing stuff, but it was also somebody else's fault.
Yes. And so what you do is you just get, the real you starts, like you said, the real you eventually comes out if you're going to do this so many times. And they get to see that, oh, you are a human being.
And the thing I will say about Serhant, young Jesse was in the room and he can chime in. That dude was authentic from entry to walking out of the door. Now, what you only got from him was the time you had allotted, which I think that is just him being a dialed in business person.
Yeah, you got
and nothing wrong with that. But you had every bit of his attention and knowledge from the second he walked in the door till the second you took the photo op till the second you walked out, even to the point where we went an hour early and didn't get his attention because of that.
Correct.
You know what I mean? We were on Central Time and we showed up to New York and we were there too early. So we went and walked around and got some footage. But I mean, like, it was a pretty cool experience.
Yeah. And so, just pick up on that, because that's the marketing, and you need to get comfortable with that aspect and that piece, that piece of it. And, number 6 in this kind of journey here is really challenges and solutions. But what do we all call it? Money changes hands when problems are solved.
One of my favorite things.
Right. So we discuss potential challenges in whatever that marketplace is. And is there maybe a cyclical demand that happens? Is there challenges that first time home buyers are facing, right? Obviously they're facing, inflationary problems where they're facing high interest rates. They're facing what they perceive as high, prices in the marketplace.
Yeah.
And how can you help them overcome that by solving whatever that may be? And you offer solutions and how your services complement those solutions.
Well, and the great thing is, for real estate agents, your services and solutions don't have to be maybe as deep as you would think they are sometimes, right? Homework property management, we talk about all the time. We have our homework property management meetings before this show, right? We deal sometimes with things that are very kind of easy to solve, right? It's just one person, and it's not any one person. I'm saying sometimes it is just one person doing a thing that would be better served another person doing, right? look inside your real estate business and for your clients with this, the easiest solution. Sometimes we get bogged down in the details. And I'm experiencing this in my personal life right now. I'll share a quick story. I'm dealing with something right now that it would be very easy for me to get bogged down in the details right now, right? There's a bunch of stuff going on with kids and who's around kids and stuff that's like really interesting. And the path that I have chosen to take is just solely is my baseline problem, is the baseline issue with so-and-so being next to so-and-so. It doesn't have anything to do with the intent. It has nothing to do with what would happen if X, Y, and Z happened. It just has to do with the fact that at the end of the day, this fundamental situation is either right or wrong, right? And we get so bogged down sometimes because they even tell us when we're taking our tests in real estate, there's more than one right answer, but there's a more right answer. And so it's so easy to second guess yourself. I have mentees all the time being like, should I send out an IABS? I don't know if I can have this conversation while sending an IABS out, and I don't know what I should talk about. And it's like, dude, just fucking go talk to people and sell houses, and all that other stuff will work itself out. Like at the end of the day, don't get caught up too much in all of that. Find yourself a great mentor to ask some simple questions to, but like this isn't the hardest thing in the world to do. And most likely, like the solution that pops up in your head as a remotely seasoned real estate agent is probably more close to center than you believe it is. Stop second guessing yourself so much. Your baseline questions are the same question every other normal human's going to ask. Answer that first and go from there, right? You don't have to overcomplicate it, but we do because we kind of have enough information to be detrimental to ourselves, right? You know how to fix like an electrical panel, but you really don't. So you might electrocute yourself.
So you know what to be afraid of.
Just stay away from it, right? Like ask the baseline question, should I be doing this? No, you probably shouldn't, right? Or you should. And I just think we get too scared of just being regular people.
Well, and then, I mean, we kind of covered it, and we should have looked at this a little bit deeper as we were building this out because we kind of doubled up. The last part is really the success stories, and that's really kind of sharing. And you know, honestly, the success stories can look at, you know, as you're building this out and really going deep is sharing your testimonials, the people leaving Google reviews, and, you know, coming in or hiring Jesse at Tour Studios to interview, you know, bring on guests and interview them. Like I would number one look at like, all right, I just closed somebody. Let's say it's a doctor's.
Yep.
You're specializing in helping doctors buy houses, right? First off, there's doctor-only loan programs out there that are really, really great. You help close somebody, awesome. Bring them on as a guest and talk about their experience, and then utilize Tour Studios to really highlight yourself as the expert. You get to highlight them and make them feel special. Doctors like that, etc. So it's just highlighting stories and the wins and everything else behind it. But what you just said is just not getting bogged down in the details. Everything takes action.
Yep.
You got to be able to implement this. And what we didn't do, you know, when we partnered at Homeward, right? So let's go back to starting a property management company. I've always heard property management companies don't make money and it's not worth the time. And so that always held me back. And then we started Homeward. You know, we have the right people on the bus, and Homeward has blown up in the best way possible. And what did that take? Number one, it took action. And then behind it, it kept digging in on that action and that action and that action. And, you know, as we're going through it, we didn't stop. We didn't get scared. We promoted the heck out of it. You've heard it on this show so many freaking times that it's not even funny.
We're proud of it. It's a real thing.
HomewardDFW.com.
You know, you don't hear about the stuff that we haven't done well, right? Like this is the thing that we're awesome at. Like there's been other shit that we're like, we did beta tested and it didn't work.
More things have failed.
Yeah. I mean,
what was the what do we call the tour coaching? What do we call
Tour
it?
Academy?
Tour Academy. Is TourAcademy.com still up?
I don't think
No.
so. Brian and I had centered staging.
Center staging
Yeah.
did not get off the ground. But
Center staging was still break even. I still chopped that up as a success.
Killer name.
Yeah. It's the best name for a staging company there. By the way, if you're starting a staging company, figure out your warehouse logistics first.
Yeah, it's way more expensive upfront than you think it
Yeah.
is.
Just getting people to move stuff from point A to point B is actually the hardest thing that you will ever do.
Yeah, you just got to
And know what to move.
You just got to have enough clients that you move it and time it just correctly to move it from house to house.
Here's the crazy thing about center staging, though. You talk about homework. We had the right people. the right people were all in place. What we didn't have was a real profitable, viable model because we were reacting to a market that was so sexy and so glamorous, right? Like everybody kind of shits on the COVID market. That was actually like from a real estate perspective, that thing was the most Met Gala thing we've ever done.
Yeah.
Like it really was.
Right? Yeah.
I've been in real estate for 10 years and the COVID market, again, COVID probably attaches like, I don't want to attach a shiny object to a crappy thing, but the real estate market during COVID was easily the most flashy, ridiculous market I have ever been a part of. And I detested it.
Let's go back and look at this.
You can stay at home and play Call of Duty all day and still sell a bunch of houses.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. Or you could sell nothing because you had no idea what to do.
Right.
Like I can see how it was also the most impossible market for people.
Can we do something instead of just pulling up the hypothetical real quick? Can we run a quick break? Let's look at the 7 steps and let's compare it. Let's compare center staging and homeward. And does it follow and does it follow this formula?
I like this.
Right. So if we were to say, all right, because here's what ends up happening, right? So stay with me, track with me here for a second. Is that number one, we were talking about, really, really building out a niche market in real estate, right? And that's from your as a real estate agent, we're like, all right, how do I get more business? How do I get more consistent business? How do I become the go-to expert? How do I get people to reach out to me? How do I make sure that I'm not having to negotiate my fees as hard, et cetera? But most successful real estate agents start asking this question later on is, how do I get a piece of the pie?
Yep.
Right? How do I make residual income? How do I invest X, Y, Z? And, then they start coming up with companies and they're like, this will kill. Right. Yeah. So I'm sure some White Claws were into this. And you're like, all right, staging. We
had a couple of $1 million listings that staging was required. And we're like, well, we'll easily make up the money off these commissions.
You forgot one important detail. At least one of these, I remember for sure, maybe if not both. I think Kelderman just said we'd stage it to get the listing. I think it was
I did.
Yeah, we were like, oh shit.
No,
I was like, no, I got to start a company.
I will admit there were three properties that were staged by Center Staging, and 2 of them directly benefited. I actually remember sitting on a mountain in Vermont when the expired listing that was in the $1 million range was like finally sold. And this was one of those listings where I'm screaming at the seller to get stuff done. Like we did not like each other. We would never work together ever again. Right. But like we also staging there, dude, I know exactly what 2 houses we staged. And if it wasn't for the COVID market, we would have never started that. Right. The only reason we did that was because we had a legitimate, like, I remember looking at that, that house that we staged in South Lake, where like literally it had expired at 720 15 months earlier, and we sold it for 1.2. It made no sense. It made no sense.
But let's go and look at it. All right, center staging. It's like
such a bad example.
Is center? Well, yeah, but this is what we do as agents, right? Course. As we get success, we're like, all right, what other businesses can we start? And we're all 3 of us.
Guilty. We've all done this.
All guilty. And it's like, all right, is that a niche, right? Is it, or is it more generalized? To me, it's a more generalized deal because you're not saying, all right, we're gonna just start a staging company. We'll get real estate agents. We've got our real estate team that we can have the team sell it, etc. So are we now just a small fish in a saturated market?
Yes.
So.
And we don't even know the water temperature.
Yes.
Like we don't even know.
Right. So, okay. All right.
The weirdest thing about starting a staging company is like putting together the furniture in the first place.
Yes.
That's shockingly time consuming for someone who's not me.
Right. So we've already X through step number 1. Right.
Yeah.
On number 2, type of niche, like we're going after every real estate agent and every house owner that we're going to go listing for. Yeah. Okay, we got that down. Maybe that passes the smell test a little bit.
As far as this thing.
Yeah. How do we choose the niche? Are we passionate about staging and furniture?
The niche chose us.
Yes. Yeah. The calling was there. Did we research and understand our competition?
Definitely not.
Yeah. So we didn't identify
name another staging company.
No.
So we didn't identify the gaps in the market where we can shine.
No.
Right. And then becoming the go-to expert. Education is key. Did we do any educational research?
We told our agents that we would do this.
Yes.
But we did not
Yes.
actually do any research.
So we didn't
We
get
just assumed we had the business.
We
Somebody with a Ford F-150 and an Allen wrench
Yeah.
showed up.
Exactly.
so we did not get certified.
No.
Um,
We were not
and
certified.
take any courses related to our niche.
No.
Did we build a portfolio to showcase our expertise?
Brian might have. That was not in my department.
Was there? Because here's what I
Started
recall.
from the ground
I don't
up. We
think
didn't really have.
Well, and I don't remember y'all
Peggy
highlighting.
staged my place and a couple of their flips and Brian's stuff. So we had personal
we had
experience.
some pictures.
And look, the staging wasn't bad. This was a
But that was our
logistical
best
issue.
part.
This was a
No,
logistical
Peggy's
issue.
great at what she does.
Yeah.
We actually crushed the staging part. This was a logistics issue all day long. We ran the business side shitty.
Well, okay.
Like everything, the personal connection side was money back.
No, of course. So build a portfolio, showcase your expertise through past successes, which would be, all right, we took this 700,000 expired, we listed it, sold for 1.2. Hey, we're not going to mention COVID market. right?
No, we crushed it.
Or 1.1.
Everybody
whatever it
was working in that. They didn't take
Yeah.
that listing.
Yes.
We did.
And
So
so,
we didn't know what it was at the time. Like we didn't call it the COVID market when it was going on.
yeah, when you're
Yeah,
in it,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
It's just, hey, we're
It was
just,
fucking Thursday.
this is, and we were busy playing Call of Duty.
Yeah,
and-
exactly.
And not worrying about it. So
Yeah.
we weren't highlighting the success. We weren't networking with other than our real estate professionals. So we could, all right. So maybe we'll check. We'll give 4 like a C plus.
At
Right?
best.
Becoming
Yeah.
the go-to
I don't know
expert.
if anybody on the
Because
deserves an A.
I remember only hearing about it, but I don't remember it being promoted. Right. And then marketing, which obviously we didn't market it at all.
Again, to our agents.
yeah.
Actually, this is, if you want to flip
not
this,
going with that one.
if you want to flip this though, this is actually where it started really losing. The marketing part was where we effed this up the most because we weren't talking to the public about it. We were selling it to our agents like it was just some willy-nilly thing they could throw around. And that actually became probably one of the logistical things about centered staging that was outside of logistically figuring out what items needed to go to what
Yeah.
house, how to transport them. That was the number one problem, right?
Yes.
The secondary problem was people just thought this was a service we were going to use on $300,000 houses. And like, I
That
don't
was
like,
also true.
I'm not going to be a jerk because $300,000 houses are fine, but we're not free staging them. It made no
No.
business sense.
Correct.
We did a terrible job of presenting it to our target market, which was our agents.
Yes.
They were using it incorrectly.
Yes, we did. And yes, the hidden costs of moving things around. We did not.
So number 5, marketing, right? So we didn't tailor.
We thought the houses were a store. We at one point were like, dude, this is so sweet. The houses are the actual storage units. We just keep our shit
We'll just be
in
so
their
busy.
houses, and then
Yes.
we'll just move it from one house to another. We ain't got to pay for storage.
Turns out
Yeah.
it doesn't work. Like
It
No.
does not work.
No. And so we didn't market it. We didn't use testimonials.
Nope.
All right. So we failed that one.
Mhm.
So challenge and solutions. We probably didn't even get to that part. Right. So that's the reason why.
So all they were challenges and then subsequent solutions.
We fell off after step
So,
5.
all right.
We
perfect.
did get creative on solutions. I
So
think we were-
perfect. So no, that's why Center Stage did not take off.
Correct.
And it's not the center of your business.
No.
But now it looks like homeward.dfw.com, right? So is the property management space, we could call it a little bit of a niche.
It's definitely a niche.
Pretty niche. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's really niche.
I wouldn't call it really niche.
As far as real estate,
residential property management.
It exists.
So
A lot of
yeah.
people do it, but when you're talking about a real estate agent who has property
Yes.
management opportunities, it's very few of
I
your
can't
opportunities.
find competitors on any street corner.
And I would say that in the real estate space, we would say that property management business wise is more of a smaller market.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. So we can dominate a smaller market rather than just being a general real estate agent and be that small player in the saturated markets. And we can really specialize and become the expert in that, which we can command higher fees and recurring fees.
And look, we actually do that. Like on the homeward property management side, maybe it's a product of scale or whatever. I hope this stays this way forever. But like we meet every week and we talk about our occupancy rate. That's something I hear the other property managers talk about. Like that matters to owners. When these guys pay $53 million for an apartment complex, they talk about occupancy rate. They talk about their ability to maintain the properties. They talk about like their ability to get them rented. Like Nick's got his duplexes because it's an interesting prospect, right? Like Nick he's part of homeward property management, but he also knows the most about what it's like to be on the investor side of it than anybody else, right? So we get this dual aspect of, on the real estate side, we're like, hey, Let's make rents lower. That's how we get people in. And then also we've got somebody who's an owner who says, hey, you can't just lower rents because rents have been on an upward trajectory for 30 years. So why am I the exception to the rule, right? So like we get a lot of real time experience in this too.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. So number one, we pass. We passed that. Number one, great. Types of niche, like we're residential property management, and we're not doing, apartments.
Yeah, I was gonna say we don't. I don't want to discuss them on the show, but we have certain criteria for what we will and will not manage.
Yes, absolutely. So we have that, and then how do we choose it? Right? Would we say we're passionate about it? No, I wouldn't say we were just passionate about property management. No. But we research and understand our competition. We know what's in the marketplace, and we know where the gaps are. We know that communication is a problem, right? We know that lead generation in that space is a problem. Lead generation meaning, that most property management companies have no lead generation going on to help landlords find tenants for their property. They just kind of place it up there and sit back and kind of let everything else do the work.
You talk about the evolution of this show, and I think one of the biggest evolutions of this show is we have became way more concerned about the greater good than we ever were. Nick used to describe himself as a one-night stand, right? Brian and I were on separate teams. There were so many things we did differently when we started doing this show. I think when you ask like how to choose your niche or like, yeah, we're not passionate about it. What we are passionate about though is legitimately providing a better product. Yeah. Every single one of us, like, yes, do we make money off a property management company? Of course we do, right? But are we also like dead ass serious about the fact that like the whole reason we started it was because it was better than others?
That's why our silly slogan is actually
absolutely
so true.
Yes.
Like it's we do it in jest, but it's legitimate what we provide. Absolutely. I mean, that's why we're in this business.
Yeah. And so, all right, education is key. We understand, we're not personally taking, you can get certified in this, but we're not personally getting certified in this or taking courses. We're studying the property management game, and educating ourselves on the portfolio that we built. And are we highlighting and showcasing this? Absolutely. Yes.
All the time. Agent referrals is one of our largest source.
Yeah. And then network. We network like, look, we're networking with other property management companies because ultimately we want to buy them.
Yeah.
Right.
If you own one.
Yeah. So if you know anybody that owns one here in the Dallas-Fort Worth, actually in anywhere in Texas, we'd be open to having a conversation with that, and merging as well as merging in.
These guys will hate me, but I'll also say Oklahoma and Arkansas.
Let's just say yes.
Dana will hate you.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. So, and then marketing your niche, right? So we have tailored marketing approaches that is targeted advertising with the right content. So creating blog posts. If you go to homewarddfw.com, you will see that there is articles being written, and that drives traffic. We have emails that go out. Videos we could do a better job of.
Sure.
We don't do videos, but we also do this podcast, right? So we talk about it that way. We've had Dana on the show. And we've chopped that up as well and have used that in the past. Mm-hmm. Testimonials and word of mouth. So a lot of the testimonials and word of mouth is now you can see it in the Facebook groups where agents and other people are recommending Homeward DFW as the go-to property.
I probably 3 times a week, because I went through my big Facebook group call a while back and got rid of all of them. I had to go back and add a couple back because Nick kept sending stuff in, and I was like, well, I can't be out of that group.
Right.
Because I actually need to go in and like tout the thing.
A lot of stuff happens there.
That is the thing that we do touch on a little bit, though. One of the things about growing something successful, whether it's yourself, like we're sitting in a room right now with 5 people, and there's 2 other people in the other room who all kind of care about what they're doing, right? Like part of what made Homeward successful, and it would have made centered staging the people involved in centered staging were all amazing as well. That was just, we just didn't have a grasp on how expensive that was. Homeward was just a bunch of people who understood the ultimate goal, right? If you have somebody who wants, but even worse, needs this paycheck tomorrow, they are probably not the best person to go into business with. I'm just going to be honest with you, right? Like Jeff, who needs this business, like he needs it. He may be super motivated. He also may just need it so bad that it sounds really sexy right now. It won't be sexy in a couple of months when the spring market hits and Jeff starts selling a couple of houses and dodges that stuff. I think the one thing we've done, if we have had all people who haven't needed it, but have wanted to be in business together for the greater good, and then money has followed. Everything we've done that was money-based, I'll be super honest with you, has turned to shit, right? It did not work. Everything that we've done that has been contribution based has always worked out.
That's super fair.
Every single one. Everything we've done. So, like, I'll be honest with you, Tour Academy was not because of money. It was done with the genuine intention of educating real estate agents, and it became so difficult to do that the only way to look at it was through a financial lens, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
We had to have so many agents sign up for it in order to be profitable and worth our time, that us coming from contribution in a way that was successful and easy for our lives and allows us to still do the things that we preach, hang out with our family, love on our kids, love our spouses. It was no longer a viable option to do that because the time cost wasn't worth the money cost. And that sucks, but it's also okay. Like, some stuff can get tossed on. And Tour Academy, you know, against our better judgment, I think we love Brian to death. And that was a rally around Brian thing, because I know he loved the idea of coaching, because Nick and I were shitting on that from the beginning, not because we knew any better, right? We turned out to be, it didn't work out. Brian's overall thesis of let's just do something that's really cool for real estate agents has always been like the thrust of what we've done. And that has always worked.
But it also, again, if we really look at this as an entrepreneur and business owner, it created monthly recurring revenue, right? And that is honestly, as a real estate professional, that is 100% commission. That the minute you sell something is the minute you're unemployed again.
Yeah.
The monthly recurring revenue sounded and is very great. Now we got it in the property management side,
and it didn't lose. By the way, Tour Academy was still like an overall thing.
Technically, it was a success. It just, not on the level that we were hoping.
Not that it wasn't worth our time and energy.
That's all it was. Right? The idea was amazing.
Yeah, and you know, even if we look at this podcast, I shared in our group text, was it last week, looking at podcast rankings, and in general, Jesse, do you remember what we talked about? Like, first off, how many podcasts are dead, right? Like, someone has episodes out there, but it was like, go back down.
It's almost like ghost agent numbers.
Yeah.
Right?
So interesting data. Keep going down. So there's 60 on average. There's 60,000 dead podcasts every year. Right. So like, people just keep starting, like they start and they don't finish, or they don't keep it going. They don't see they're probably not pushing this out there, or they just don't.
Are the Titanium guys still doing their stuff?
I haven't seen much of it.
Okay, so let's be honest. Like, they did tons of episodes, so it's not shitting on them. They told us very early on, and one of you two regurgitated this to me. It was 17 episodes on the podcast side, right? 17 before it becomes an ingrained habit. You know, we're over 200 now, so we've just blown right past that. But like, when you think about doing, because this number holds true, right? When it comes to following up with digital leads, when it comes to following up. I had a lady in November tell me she was for sure buying in the spring. She need to get closer to Plano. I ain't heard back from her. I've followed up with her every single week since, right? Like, they
are still doing it, by the way.
Yeah, and they are. But my point, and that's amazing. But those guys told us 17 episodes before you get in. We tell you on the agent side, 7 to 13 contacts before a client responds. Like, you're getting into the teens of numbers before any of this stuff has any success rate. And then Brian and I, when we used to do our classes, used to tell you none of it works more than 4 or 5% of the time, right? Yeah. Whether it's open houses, whether it's calling expireds, whether it's digital leads, all of it has like a incredibly low success rate.
That's literally the whole thesis.
You're attempting to get to know what's the book.
Fail 95% of the time.
Yes.
You're okay with that.
But if you look at, all right, let's take it and let's follow this as a formula. Right. This 7-step formula here for anything. And we say, all right, the podcast, the only real estate podcast worth listening to ranks in the top 2% of all podcasts.
Facts.
Right. That's what they judge.
That's statistically factual.
Right. That's what they're basing that off of everything going on. Right. And we said, all right, is it a niche? Yes. It's the real estate to real estate agents. So what type of it? All right. Again, we said to real estate agents, and it's real, raw, relatable content. We're not really selling anything other than whom our sponsors are. And in the not so distant future, we're going to be partnering with AI so that we can get you into that. How to choose it. We were in a garage one day, and this guy was like, hey, he's like, come to my garage and let's record some videos. And luckily it wasn't the casting couch.
Right. I was a little nervous going to the garage.
Yes. Luckily it wasn't that, because it was all dudes in that, because it was all dudes in that one.
Nice.
And so
vinyl too.
We all got together and we had, look, if you go back to really OG episode 1 of that garage,
We all had fat faces.
there was different people involved,
Well, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We cycled them, like we found
Yeah.
your trainer. Your
Yeah.
trainer
Oh,
was
yeah.
actually the first one. He's the one who actually did the intro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's the one who pulled us in into the whole
Crawford,
thing.
right?
Yeah.
So like as we found how we meshed together and where we could take this, honestly, what did we say? Remember at the old Keller Williams office, we would always talk in the hallway. We could sit there and talk for hours, and we're like, we just do this in podcast format and video format. And
Didn't
so
the Beatles used to have a different drummer?
I don't
It was
know.
at the beginning, right?
probably no.
Who's
don't-
the guy?
I know Dave Mustaine used to be the
I was gonna say. I
guitarist
was
for
about to say Metallica. Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
say
he
who's
just went off
Megadeth?
some-
It's Dave Mustaine.
Yeah.
right?
Dave
So
Mustaine.
this helps us become the go-to expert. Did we get educated in this? A little bit. I mean, we learned. We've learned not to, and we've learned
Pete
how
Best.
to get better, not to talk over everyone. Brian.
That.
And
Brian's gotten so better.
No,
so
he
much better
has.
though, dude.
he
So
has.
good.
And we've learned how to continue the flow of a conversation without talking over everyone else.
The funny thing about this, if you go back and watch some of the original episodes, it's me emceeing this thing, which I could not imagine doing now.
Doing that.
Like Nick's ability to rein in the conversation
Oh,
is
it's
so good.
unbelievable.
It's like the times that I've been turned loose on this thing, I'm just like skibbity da,
Yeah.
and
You do organically find your rhythm with that.
Well, do you know what's really great? So the other one that Brian and I do, the More Doors podcast, I don't MC that one.
No.
isn't it?
I sit in this chair, and I'm like, sometimes I participate, sometimes
The
I don't.
funny thing is, so my other thing with Victoria and then just other people. So I've got like this artist coming in a couple of weeks and some other stuff because I'm like, it's not like I'm just trying to find cool people with cool stories to talk to, right? Who are also self-reliant because I think it relates so much to what we do. And it's been Victoria and I, and we're doing another one, and then Megan, a friend of ours, is done one. But I am actually the one responsible for keeping the conversation going. So like my attention level, like because there's episodes where you can find where Matt is not even fucking clued in on this thing, right? Like my attention level is so much like it's like my listening skills are really good. And I'm taking notes, and I'm like, hey, they said something, so I need to ask about this. It's a totally different experience. It's completely different.
Okay, in the vein of getting back to our roots, then, like we're talking about,
I like this.
it's not a $1 billion idea or a hypothetical, but I was thinking about this earlier, and then I looked it up because I'm on a big war tangent right now, as you know.
Obviously.
So now I'm looking up all the wars. This freaking surprised the hell out of me.
First of all, you should start a war podcast.
Oh man, I would get so sad. It's so bad.
But that's all right. Go back to the 7 steps.
I don't think I can emotionally
All
do
right,
it. It's so bad.
That's
dude.
a niche. You can become the expert.
I
You
can
can
become-
talk about it.
I feel like there are a lot better war experts out there. My spin would probably be a little different.
Right.
But okay, I looked this up earlier today. I don't even know why. Do you know how many people, or I shouldn't say do, guess how many people, when you think about the Revolutionary War, when we won our independence from Britain, right?
This is a Paul Revere situation.
Yes.
Okay.
How many people total do you think died in that war?
1,252.
No, it's way more than that. That's not even 2,000 people. It's weird because I think about population density at times.
You say
right?
500,000?
I look
Okay.
at like World War II and how many Russians died in that. We're talking about like millions of people.
Okay,
right?
so for context, World War II, they estimate anywhere between 60 and 85 million people total died.
right, and I see the Revolutionary War. I think
Wait.
about, like,
Hold on. So 60 to 85 million.
Either 60 people or 85 million.
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
but
Somewhere in
yeah,
that range.
Yes.
Not less
But
or
But
more.
Jeff and his uncles or everyone.
So they died from the war itself, or did they die because of the ripple effect of
this
the war?
isn't
Like,
COVID. We're not like edging
well,
numbers.
So this is
These are cannonball
we're
headless
not,
humans.
We're not talking about what's the nuclear reactor that went off?
Chernobyl.
Chernobyl. We're not talking about like after effects like that. This would be a direct effect of the war.
Like go to the battlefield. They're in the
Now,
mud.
They might count diseases during the war caused by the inability to get medical aid to people,
Okay.
which is still a wartime
See, I think of more
death.
casualties of like, all right, they were shot, they were like,
I still
I
it's brutal
believe
because
the
the way they were
60
killing each other.
The 60 to 85 million, I think, takes all of that into account. On the low end, it's just probably people who got physically killed as a direct result of violence. On the high end, it's probably also, if you count malnourishment, disease,
Correct.
and things like that, right? So it's anywhere from 60 to 85 million for World War II. What do you think it is for the Revolutionary War?
my mind takes me to be more, but that seems ridiculous because there weren't as many people involved. It's like if the number's not more, I'm gonna be disappointed.
This is a very key aspect of this.
If the number's not more, just as a human, because as a human, I'm like, if your tragedy's not more, why are we even talking about it?
All right, so I looked.
But then I'm like, there weren't that many people here, so how could it be more?
This is what drove me crazy.
All right, so tell me.
This is something we learn about in school, and it's a big part of our country's inception. So Jesse, look it up. I looked this up.
Wait, you don't know
morning.
the answer?
No, I looked it up this morning. How many people died in the Revolutionary War? This blew my mind. And I understand now why. It's like 25,000 people.
So, all right, if this is Price
That's
is
what I
Right-
said. It's Jeff and his uncle.
It's
know.
seriously not
If this-
500,000. There weren't even like that many people on the planet back then.
By the way, if this is Price is Right, I won.
You did.
Yeah, you did.
You
Yep.
did.
You were at the lowest out going over.
Yeah.
It's
and that's what I'm saying.
it's so much lower than I thought.
Well, because like, look, it's like everything, and this is but this seems so obvious to me. Our ability to do mass damage, or mass good, because like we also have people like there's this guy and like on TikTok, right? His name's Michael with a Y, Mychel.
Oh,
He's about to go work for PBS.
Jeez.
He's about to go work for PBS. He may or may not be autistic. He's definitely one of the sweetest humans who has ever existed, and he's a full-grown adult. And there's this whole movement on TikTok to like shit on this guy. And all he's done is try and
Y in his name.
all he's done is try and get people. All he's done has been a sweetheart and try and get people back into public freaking libraries and enjoy books.
I enjoy books.
And we have somehow figured out a way to S on this guy. And I think what happened was somewhere between the Revolutionary War and probably the first Afghanistan war, we were all trying to do nice things for people.
Yeah.
And somewhere since the late 90s and early 2000s, we've just been crapping on people.
That's true.
Like constantly.
I think when given like easy access to attention, you use it to stunt on people more than be gracious.
Yes. So I think to round out my point is I could see how you go to the Revolutionary War, and I'm trying to find all these humans. It was just relatively small damage back then to do like small damage to do huge things.
I agree.
The reality is now we've got nice guys who can do huge things. We've got people just crapping on them.
This
and I
is
hate that.
Okay, you're not wrong. Jesse does have a leap. So this is why. Give me 30 seconds. So look up really quickly. Look up World War II on the Wikipedia site. This is what put it into context for me. Because I was thinking like, wow, that's a low amount of deaths. Click on the World War II and you go down and you look at belligerents. It calls them belligerents on the Wikipedia page. And that's the teams. If you scroll a little further down, maybe not, go up. I don't know. It usually says the people on each side. Regardless, it'll say belligerent.
Allies and Axis.
Yeah, there you go. Allies and Axis, who it was, right? Oh, I want you to click on it. That's why. Participants. And it'll tell you each side. And this is Russia, Germany, America, France, Japan. If you go to the Revolutionary War, keep in mind, it already happened 300 years ago. The belligerents are New Hampshire, Vermont. There's only like 45 people in each of those states in the 1700s anyway. It made a lot of sense, but I was like you. I thought at least 500,000 people died in the Revolutionary War. It wasn't even American Airlines Center. It wasn't even it just wasn't. It's crazy to me.
All right, I think Brian needs to start his own war show podcast. That's coming up next at tourstudios.com. I'm going to throw it a little backwards on you, Jesse. So tourstudios.com. That way Jesse's going to create a war podcast for Brian Forrest, and that way he can talk all about the casualties and make a guess on that. And then, look, while you're listening to Brian Forrest's Force It Down Your Throat War Show podcast, you can go over and send all your buyer referrals who need to get approved for a loan and financing to Mortgage Mike. That way he can give you that Mortgage Mike stamp of approval. Just go to mmgloans.com. And he'll take great care of them, just like he takes great care of our clients. And then, of course, they need that hard shell protection for a home warranty. Armadillo, the Ron Smith, armadillo.one/tour, TORE. And then if you got those those investment properties that need to be managed, then you need Dana Wynn to do that for you over at homewarddfw.com, the best property management company in Dallas-Fort Worth. Hopefully you like those 7 steps. And if you did, make sure to leave us a review on Spotify. Just click the 5 stars. On Apple Podcasts, you can actually leave a 5-star review on there. As you should. You can go to the only real estate group worth being a part of on Facebook. And Yeah, and YouTube. There's a YouTube channel for us. OnlyREPod.com or OnlyREPod on YouTube.
Yeah, there it is. I
Yeah.
don't even know how to do it when he has to go to the bathroom.
I
so
mean,
don't know how to
Kellerman just
end the
left,
show.
so I guess the show stays on forever.
Yeah, just see you next week. We'll still be here.
Yeah, we'll just keep it live until next week.
Thanks for watching the show today. Make sure if you're watching this on Facebook, you head over to our group, the only real estate group worth being a part of, so you can watch the extended conversation. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And if you listen on the Apple Podcast, leave us a review. We'd really like it. So just do it. Do it. Do that over there. Go to this one. Then go to that one. Thanks.